you were waiting today. I see 35 right out the gate. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Um,
Good
Please,
morning.
wherever, thanks for joining us here on this beautiful Thursday morning. Please, wherever you are joining us from, let us know in the chat system, wherever you're watching. Just type out wherever you're joining us from. I'm, of course, coming to you from beautiful, fragrant Soma in downtown San Francisco, California, on the best coast. And our stalwart host, Satya Mallick, is coming to us from
From San Diego, California. Yeah,
also
it's
on
one
the
of
best
those few days when the sun is not shining outside, but it's like one of those 20 days.
Right. We stole your sun for one of the 20 days out of the year where the sun does shine here. So, yeah. Hello. Wow. We got a bunch of folks checking in here. Hello, Turkey, Norway, Belgium, London, Boston, Mexico, Southeast Italy, Basingstoke, UK. Kevin knows I like the name. That's why he keeps posting it. India, El Salvador. Hello, Steve from Smart Mansion Inc. in Toronto. Hello, Dubai, UAE, Vietnam, London again,
All right.
India. Let's see where our other folks are joining from. I see good evening from Italy on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Got 10 of you watching over there on YouTube. It's about our average for the beginning of the show here. Over on LinkedIn, we've got about 25. That number will go up as soon as LinkedIn actually starts syndicating the fact that this feed is live, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
All right.
Sitting at 71 here on Zoom. And our guests, we've got a trio of incredible guests this week. Guests, why don't you tell us where you're joining us from, Fuyi?
Hi everyone. Is my screen frozen? Hi everyone.
Yeah, I think you're frozen.
I apologize. My laptop is outdated. I think I'm from Singapore and then I represent product owner from 7sense. And yeah, the person behind the OpenCV FR. I believe most of you guys who sign up account have spoken with me. Hi everyone.
Yes, yes. Kevin in the chat asks, Phil, are you a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Douglas Adams in general. I also really like Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Super good. Varun Chatterji, where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining from Singapore as well. So yeah. Hello, world.
Never been to Singapore. I'm a big fan of the Singapore sling, though. Hell of a beverage. Florian, where are you joining us from?
Actually, I'm missing out my Singapore sling. I would like to have one, but I'm also here in Singapore. I'm north part, while Varun is currently in the east, and for years more like also east central.
Central, I think central.
Which you can name these different parts where they're actually only apart 10 kilometers from each other.
Yeah, the entire island is 40 miles by 20 miles approximately.
Yeah. Not much. So about two San Franciscos then. It's about two San Francisco peninsulas there. Here come the chat AI assistants. We
a ton of those.
Thanks everybody. This week's count, by the way, is 7. We have 7 so far this week. We're gonna track this trend until those numbers start to go down, hopefully, as these companies implode and stop giving away stuff for free. With that said, I think now is a great time to get started. You ready, Doc?
All right, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to OpenCV Live. And today we have an amazing show. As some of you know, that OpenCV has partnered with this company, an amazing company called 7sense, to produce OpenCV Face Recognition. This is the commercial version of face recognition, state of the art, and they are doing amazing stuff. And today we are going to talk about some of the products they have built and some of the apps that are now live, which you can use. So welcome the entire 7sense team. We'll go over the introductions first, but before we do that, let's celebrate our co-host Phil Nelson, who is the director of content and creative at OpenCV, and he organizes this show. Anything that goes wrong with this, including when I fumble, it's all Phil's fault.
That it is 100% true that it is my fault. Because I am the co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none, I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you, my dear friends here on OpenCV Live, can call me Phil. And I'm here to remind you of a few things that we do on every single episode of this show. The first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Stick around later in the episode. We will have a giveaway from our esteemed guests here. In fact, you'll be able to win some free credits on OpenCV Face Recognition, so stick around for that. We're also taking questions from you in the audience. Use the Zoom Q&A button at the bottom of the screen there if you're watching on Zoom, or if you're watching anywhere else on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. Use the chat system to ask your question anytime during the show, and we will do our best to flow it into conversation. Now, before we get started proper, there's a few things we should talk about OpenCV-wise and remind you all the reason for the season, exactly what is OpenCV and why are we here. Dr. Satya Mallick, can you talk a little bit about why people should support OpenCV?
Yeah, today I received an email, saying that why is an open source organization like OpenCV promoting commercial organization, right? And the thing is that there's nothing called an open source organization. We are a nonprofit. Nonprofits are completely within their, it's completely legal and completely to partner with commercial companies and even make huge amounts of profit as long as that profit is not directed towards individuals, right? Just to clarify. Now, that said, we have amazing partnerships. 7sense is a great partner. They are not only a partner in face recognition, they are also a silver member. But I also want to, credit Varun. He is one of the few people who actually had donated $5,000 personally outside the company, personally to OpenCV, and I really want to thank. Now, going back to what are the membership options available? If you are a company, we have different levels of memberships, like the gold membership, silver membership, and we just had a new gold member. ARM is a new gold member with OpenCV, and another one is coming very soon. Contract is signed, but I cannot name them yet.
I was just right in the press release.
Exactly. That's great. So if your organization, there are smaller organizations, also startups like Intuitivo, which are bronze members. So if you are a small organization which has benefited from OpenCV, please consider supporting us. As individuals, also, you can, I know the fundraising for OpenCV 5 was over, but we are continuing. You can donate using these links, either through a credit card or PayPal. You can also go through GitHub. So there are several options available. And finally, you can also buy some merchandise, and part of that profit goes to, not actually all the profit goes to the organization,
Right.
and it supports the OpenCV library directly, right?
And currently there's 15% off everything at opencv.myspreadshop.com. We've got pet bandanas. We actually have gotten some photographs of pet bandanas, but I am holding them hostage until more people buy t-shirts. I am not going to share with you the adorable photos of people's dogs and cats wearing OpenCV merchandise until you, yes, you, buy some merch. So do that so I can stop being so disappointed in you all. We've got 3 different flavors of the I Love OpenCV shirt designed by me in simplified Chinese, English, and in Espanol. We've got buttons, we've got stickers, we've got those NPR-style tote bags that everybody loves and has way too many of already. Go check it out. 15% off everything right now for 5 days left in that promotion. Also, Doc, we've got another big event coming up next, just in a few weeks here, Embedded Vision Summit. Can you talk a little bit about Embedded Vision Summit? This is the second year in a row that OpenCV will have a booth here.
That's right. So Embedded Vision Summit is, as the name suggests, it is for embedded computer vision. So a lot of embedded vision and also chip companies, they come to this conference. I've spoken at this conference a few times. We have done workshops, and for the last 2 years, including this year, we are doing a booth. So amazing conference. If you are in the embedded vision space, you get to meet a lot of people, and it's it's a smaller conference, a more it's not like CVPR where
it's a little more intimate than CVPR, is what I would say.
Exactly. So there is like when you go for dinner, it's a small group of people, about a couple of hundred, but then you have a chance to interact one-on-one with some top people in their organizations. In fact, as far as I can remember, Varun and I met at Embedded Vision Summit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So you can find a
Awesome.
lot of people to collaborate with. Yeah. So yeah, there is also. Can you actually speak to that? I have not been following all the.
Yeah, so I'm going to share the code here. It's
Okay.
Summit24-OpenCV. If you go to the registration page and use that code, you will get 15% off. I'm going to type it in the chat here as well for everybody. It's also in the OpenCV newsletter. So if you're not signed up for that, you can go to opencv.org/subscribe, and you'll be able to join the OpenCV newsletter and get stuff like 15% off, registration for events like Embedded Vision Summit, exclusive deals on OpenCV merchandise, and be the first person to know about upcoming stuff such as when OpenCV AI competition 2024 kicks off, which may be a thing, but you can only find out if you signed up for the newsletter. So do that. Also, go to Embedded Vision Summit if you're here in the Bay Area. It's in Santa Clara, California, just a stone's throw away from my city by the bay in San Francisco. So I'll definitely be taking the train down there and hanging out for a couple of days with folks at the booth. We'll have stickers, we'll have buttons to give away. We might have a couple other things there at the booth for freebies for folks. We'll try to continue our tradition of confusing everyone by bringing carpenter's pencils, and nobody knows how to use them. Those flat construction pencils that I learned to use as a kid. So anyway, check out Embedded Vision Summit. We've also, work is continuing on OpenCV 5. Can we just do a quick reminder for folks about OpenCV 5 here? We just posted a progress update last week. This week's will be up later today, in fact. You can go to the opencv.org blog and see what the latest is on what's been going on week to week. You can also follow on the OpenCV 5 workboard on GitHub. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and drag this over to to-do. See, this is how the sausage is made, people. So please check out OpenCV 5 as we go. Also, there was a big update. There's a big deal going on with OpenCV University. Isn't this true?
Yeah, so occasionally we do this 100-day AI challenge where
Yes, right here.
Yeah, if you enroll right now, there is a discount. But in addition to that, you can also get money back. These are students, this mainly we did it for students who said that, oh, we have time. Can we get a discount? And I said that, okay, I will reward your effort. I don't want to reward your intent. So if you actually, go and enroll in this right now, you'll get a discount. But then suppose you complete the course in 100 days, you get $100 back. And you can do it for as many courses as you want, up to $500. So jump right in, right? It is a very good deal for people who have more time in their hands and they can actually put in the work. And 100 days, it's quite a lot, right? It's about, more than 3 months. So you should be able to finish multiple courses in that time.
Yeah, good luck out there, everybody that takes advantage of this great deal in the 100-day AI career challenge. Satya, I feel like your kids know that phrase really well. I'm going to reward your effort and not your intent. Is that something you say a lot to the kids? I'm right by how much he's laughing.
All right.
Okay, I think that's all for the upfront stuff. Stay tuned for the giveaway later. I think that's it. Satya?
One additional thing I wanted to mention is that OpenCV also benefits when you use our partners' stuff. Like when you use OpenCV Face Recognition, part of that profit goes to opencv.org to directly support the library. And the same thing with partners like RoboFlow. When you sign up for RoboFlow, we get a small commission, but it helps. Everything helps in the open source world. Okay, so without
That's
further
right.
ado,
I'll remind folks one more time. If you want to help out OpenCV and sign up for RoboFlow, go to roboflow.com/OpenCV. Just a reminder there.
Thanks. So yeah, without further ado, I'm very excited, Varun and team. Let's hear from you. What are you guys up to, and what are the new things that you are bringing to face recognition?
Take it away.
Okay, thank you. So as you mentioned, like 7sense and OpenCV, we're already working together for a while. And right now we want to share about the updates that we had recently to the OpenCV Face Recognition as well API and also the newly launched app. So first we will start with our team here. So currently it's me speaking, Florian. I'm one of the AI engineers here at 7sense. So we are a AI deep tech startup in Singapore. And also with us today is our co-founder and CTO, Varun. Hi, Varun. And of course, for OpenCV FR, the most important person is Yi. She's our product owner. She managed everything that is involved with the interaction with OpenCV, our customers, and the ongoing development of OpenCV FR. So we are the three persons of 7sense here today for you. And this will be our kind of roadmap for today. So we start with the OpenCV FR app, where we show you what capabilities this app has. We will then go further into use cases for OpenCV FR in general and experiences that we had from several customers and over the time using the app and how we further developed and improved the application. And from this more focused, so this first part is more focused on OpenCV FR. And then we will more and more go into the direction of talking about things like smartphones for AI and new developments on AI and how we are tackling those things and what are our viewpoints on some of the newest things that are coming up. And very important for you as well in the audience is that we have on the end a special face quiz. You can win a prize, which is basically for the OpenCV FR app and API, the premium plans. Okay, I don't want to further delay. Exciting, yes. So if you want to participate in this quiz in the end, you can do so by downloading the OpenCV FR app. So here you can either download Apple or Android app, and then you can log in with this account. This is a special account, just set it up for this occasion. So you use this email. It's important for the region that you use your US servers, and then you can use the password like this. You can log in and look a little bit around in our app, and then later we will use exactly this account to do our quiz.
Yeah, so download that app, scan that QR code, folks. So later on in the episode, you will be able to participate in the giveaway for some free API credits here on OpenCV Face Recognition.
Okay.
And it's CV is lowercase, so just in case you didn't notice that.
We'll also we'll post this in the chat as well for everybody.
Perfect. Okay, so like maybe one of the obvious question is, and for Yi and I will try to answer this for you, is actually why do we have the OpenCV app when there was already an API that was interfacing with kind of everything that you can do. If you have an HTTP API, you can use it from every kind of programming language. We have the documentation, people were using it. So I may can ask you directly for you, why do we now have developed an app? I think you're still muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Fuyi.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
apologize. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So along one year plus of the OpenCV FR journey, customer come to our portal with various background. Can be a small startup just like us, or can be students, professors, or can be government agencies, business owners, people who newly learn about computer vision and want to get familiar with face recognition. So we have many different background customer come on board. So I feel many customers in beginning journey are kind of struggle. How do they hands-on face recognition? By watching our demo on video, by trying out our demo on developer portal might not be sufficient. So we are thinking about offering an app without any coding experience and with onboarding journey, with in-app tool as well to guide them how to step by step, just on the fingertips to check it out, face recognition. And also some certain project managers who are watching out the timeline, they are like, say, for POC, proof of concept purpose, their proof of concept might last for 1 to 3 months. During the first few months, they need to develop actually an app for their own purpose to do the testing, because sometimes API is just not sufficient. So why not we develop the app and we give them the app directly for their POC purpose, save them a lot of time, save their effort doing the POC, and help them to expedite the process of evaluating the best FR model, because we're here to help their business. We grow together. And also we had a customer in the past year, a few customers, they asking us to develop a particular app for a feature such as liveness or face search. So we started to develop the app quite a long time ago, and then for everybody's benefit, we publish the app for all our users nowadays. Yeah, that's the main purpose behind the scene why we're doing the app. And besides, we have already comprehensive API and developer portal ready. Yeah, that's.
So I'd just like to add here one thing that we already had apps in Android and iOS, and just to add and make it much simpler for developers, we have completely redeveloped this app in Flutter. So it works not only on Android, but it also works in iOS. And we will make this source code available for developers so that you can develop your own apps.
Yeah, that's right. We're making open source. Watch out, we'll send out a newsletter soon. And what's new? So people who sign up before OpenCV FR, the developer portal already have some no coding experience features, such as enrollment, the person also do the face search one by one. So what's new in this app? Put aside the enrollment and face search, you actually can search a picture with multiple faces, which you couldn't do it with developer portal. And you can do a face comparison 1:1. Imagine you can just capture a ID document or driving license and upload another person's face, match whether it's match with a pass or not. You have a score there for you to assess. So all in all the features that has in developer portal in terms of face recognition, you will have in the app. Plus, you have a liveness there. You have a liveness. That's very interesting things. You want to try it out yourself with a camera. You want to scan. If you want to detect if the upload picture is a spoofed or is a live, that's a perfect tool for you to use. Yeah, that's mostly the app can help you. Okay.
Another question that maybe ask for, is it for me? For whom is this app? You more or less mentioned it already a little bit, right? It's kind of those people that want to try it out, but for them, for some people, it's a challenge to wrap out a Python notebook to start this, and it's basically trying to solve the last mile problem of using our service. Same as if you want to go to the subway, it's always the problem. If you want to be connected to the public transport system, it's always the problem of the last mile, although it's only the small portion. And also here, kind of thing that you can easily have directly, like in seconds, our service in the hand, you can try it out and you can be convinced how good it works. And then you can further spend more time integrating it with your team into your existing IT infrastructure.
So this is something that we've learned, like we got signups from more than 50 countries, and developers always would go and browse our API documents and they would come back to us with some questions, but they never got this opportunity to, go and use it out there, in the environments where they would actually start to integrate this technology into their own workflows. So that's what we've tried to do here, which is to bring this technology right to your phone, and you can download the app and you can try it immediately, and you can think of all the wonderful things that you can do with this technology.
Right. One other thing I wanted to mention is, when Varun first pitched the idea of OpenCV Face Recognition to me, my immediate thing was that I want to see a demo and I want to see it right now. You cannot go back and create a demo. So I said that, okay, you're going to take a picture of my of me right now and then match it with my ID card, right? So you know that driver's license, the pictures are, first of all, it's very old, because driver's license can be I think you renew it after 10 years, and mine is coming up for renewal. And so I said that, okay, you have to take a picture right now and then match it with my driver's license. If it does, then we can talk, right? And Varun just took out his phone, he took a picture of me, took a picture of the ID card, and there was a match. So that was a very impressive demo because
it's
ID
like the
cards.
reverse. People know high pressure sales tactics. This is like the opposite. This is high pressure customer tactics.
Right. And that is why I'm so happy that people can having an app like this, developers can actually try it out themselves. So it is one thing to say that, oh, something, we can tell you a lot, right? That, okay, this is amazing. And we can give you an API. We can also give you a web tool to upload pictures. But it is another thing to have this thing in your hand and trying out different conditions. Because what really happens is that you want to try it out in a situation where you don't remember, right? You just figure out, oh, is face recognition going to work in this situation? And you don't have the anything to try out immediately. Then you try it out, with this new app. It will convince you more than anything else, right? That's our bet.
Yes.
Yeah, seeing is still believing for a little while anyway, before the deepfakes get too good. So
Right.
Oh, well, we got
Actually-
liveness for that.
Yeah, we have two questions from the audience that I would like to answer. One of is it only limited to US residents? No. I mean, here we have basically 3 different server regions. One is Europe, one is Singapore, and one is US. But you can still use it from anywhere in the world. I think for the app stores, I have to ask for you, it may not be accessible in all countries in the world, but most of them. Am I right?
So it's yes, about 99% of the country are accessible for the downloading the app. It's aligned with a developer portal that some trading sanction lists are not offered, but
All right.
mostly everybody. The server is we have 3 servers. It's catered to which geographically close to you. So to reduce the latency on the internet.
Right, and that also brings up this point that the app is completely compliant with local regulations, right? So, for
Very
example,
important
you're
point.
in Europe, then you use the Europe region to store your data. It's not going to the US region or some other region.
Yeah, in order to
and that is
comply with stuff
exactly
like
why.
GDPR and,
Yeah.
and all the other various privacy legislations in these areas. That's a very important point.
And then the second question I will want to shortly mention, and then we can go on with our program, is there's somebody asking for desktop version of the app as well. So currently we don't have a desktop version, but you can use our developer portal inside your web browser, your favorite web browser, but it has not the same capabilities that you will have inside the mobile app, especially when it comes to interacting with the mobile camera and so on. Okay.
Yeah, one of the important things there is, of course, the variety of sensors and cameras on the phones that are being used. Yeah.
Yes. So here we have some example footage how it actually looks like to use the app. So here in our first video, we see the enrollment and search process. So actually one of the really cool features is that you can do enrollments of multiple people in a group picture. That's what's happening here. So here, first person is enrolled and identified. All these others are as undefined persons, and now you can add them to your personal database of collection of people.
Yeah, and the second one is
sorry, please continue.
Okay,
That's a very nice interface.
Oh, thank you, Satya. We have our designer in-house. Then here, second video is regarding the liveness. So you can check the liveness working fine by identifying who this person you enrolled previously. At the same time, check the liveness on top of it. So it's like one action, complete the search as well as liveness detection.
Yeah,
So
can
this
maybe
live
talk a little bit
yeah.
about liveness. I think people might not be aware of the issues. Like, I think we all kind of, we've seen stuff like people being able to print things out and fool the authentication system. So maybe talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to face recognition, basically for the system, for a normal face recognition system, there's no difference if the face is on a printed out picture on my driving license card or on my camera. It's just a face, as same as we recognize a face. But when you want to ensure that it's like really the person live on the camera that's currently doing that bank transaction, doing the enrollment, signing up to your service, you need a liveness check, which basically can identify if this person is before the camera, or it's like a printout on a paper, or it's a screen that's held to the camera. So all those kind of anti-spoofing attacks. So liveness check is also an anti-spoofing check, will be identified, and that's how you can ensure that you actually the real person is doing the interaction with the software that you actually are using. So
I'll just
it's an
chip in a bit
essential
here
part
and
of liveness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Florian. So I'll just chip in a bit and tell you a bit about the background of 7sense. So we are actually funded by the Singapore Ministry of Defense. And just as the internet came out of a DARPA project, our face recognition also was born by a very early proof of concept with the Singapore Armed Forces. And as you might imagine, that kind of situation is the complete opposite of needing liveness, where now you have to recognize people in all sorts of varying conditions, even with camouflage on their face in some circumstances. Of course, this is not, I mean, it was a proof of concept for internal evaluation, but that's kind of where our technology started off from. And the Ministry of Defense also an investor in our company.
Sweet.
Okay, and here, last feature.
Last feature is the face compare, that you can upload an ID document or driving license and match your face to see the score. Yeah, so we this new feature that photo doesn't have currently. You can do it in the phone now, anytime you want.
Exactly. And so here
these are some of the,
yeah, you can continue, sorry.
Some of the use cases that we've worked with customers, and like again, these are some of the this is the most challenging use case, which is construction and on-site attendance, because here you have people wearing hard hats, sometimes they're wearing safety glasses, and it's very difficult to take attendance, to track who's in which areas are restricted, does everyone have the safety training to be in that area. And we have startups who are using our face recognition in this industry. Another interesting industry that we've been targeting, and we have had a lot of interest, is from the bank and financial login industry. So here, already you have, OTPs are passé, OTP technology has been around for so long. And now there are so many phishing scams.
One-time passwords, OTPs,
Yes.
yeah.
One-time password, and you get that password over a text message. And like there's so many phishing scams now, and so much fraud happening, especially targeting older members of society who are not so savvy, and they get fooled by somebody making a call and saying, hey, did you just receive this one-time password? And I'm calling from the bank, can you give it to me?
This just happened to one of my friend's mothers. Luckily we were able to shut it down and get the police
Wow.
involved, but it was close, and it's they're getting very sophisticated. Like the stuff's getting very believable, especially for folks. I think, especially for elderly and very young people. I think it's harder to tell, what's real and what's fake on the internet these days. So.
Right.
Another use case is eKYC, which is Know Your Customer, electronic Know Your Customer procedures. And here, people go to mobile service providers, they go to banks, they want to open an account, they want to get a phone number in many different parts of the world. And that organization needs to know that they're real and their identity is real. So if they have a record on file or if they have an account with a national identity authority, then they can actually go and take that scan and verify that this person is indeed who they are saying they are, and they can cut down fraud and they can reduce the time to service these connections by half or more, I would say even more.
Right.
Another one is digital transaction verification. If I'm performing a high value transaction, if I'm sending more than $10,000 to somebody, is it actually me who's performing this transaction, or is it somebody who's just claiming to be me? So again, this is a very big use case for OpenCV face recognition. Exam proctoring, especially in the educational industry. And this became a big thing during COVID when people could not even go to school campuses. So if you're doing an exam remotely, then how do we ensure that you are actually present and it's you, it's not your photograph in front of the camera and you're actually there and you're taking that test.
Right.
So exam proctoring is another very interesting use case.
Quick note for folks with our giveaway. I'm having a trouble using the supplied login for the face recognition demo there. So just a note.
One other thing, people who are asking questions in the chat, Ashish is also there from 7th Sense, so his answers are the official answers. Just so people know that he's not faking right while we are talking about fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
Verified by Satya. That's the.
Two blue ticks.
He has to add this verified by Satya after his matches, right?
That's
Okay.
right. Instead of a check mark, it would be a little hat. You need a little hat, Satya's hat emoji.
And especially for the app, there is another use case that it's very rare to think about this, but it's actually an interesting thing that we observed in our research is you may also have this moment sometimes in life when you see somebody on the street and they recognize you, and then you're not sure why they are recognizing you and if you know them or if you just seen them before around you. So this kind of moment where you're not sure if you really know this person or they're just familiar. So if there are people for which is much more difficult to re-recognize people, and this is actually a medical condition that's basically called face blindness, and the prevalence of face blindness is actually much higher than I would have expected before. It's between 2.5 and 3% in the entire population. And for those people, it's actually helpful to be able to have an app in their pocket where they can keep track of important persons in their life and recognize them, and also other medical conditions like dementia and where your memory system is basically damaged to re-recognize important persons. It's helpful in these cases. But yeah, it's quite interesting that face recognition on a human level is not that given feature to all of us humans that as we would thought. Same with color perceptions, kind of, right? Also color perception with like, I don't know exactly the numbers, but like kind of 10% or somewhere like this have at least some form of color blindness. So I think you can easily compare this to color blindness.
Right. And this funny thing happens in some Zoom meetings. Sometimes people, use their kid's name. They're using the same Zoom account for school as well. So they end up using their kid's name there. And I cannot, I'm pretty certain that is not the person's name, but I cannot remember their name. So
That's pretty funny.
That application could be very interesting, at least in, this kind of setting where it is a more private thing. It is not, public completely, right?
Well, I think a lot of apps these days make the wrong assumption that they're single user devices. Like
Right,
that. It's an interesting, like, I think 10 years ago, everyone assumed that computers were shared. And
Right,
now,
right.
now in 2024, everyone assumes everyone has their own little personal, devices that nobody else has access to. And that's just not the case.
Right.
True, true. So here, a little bit to sum it up, what are the advantages of the OpenCV Face Recognition API and app and the entire services? Like, one very important pillar of this whole thing for us is security and privacy. So especially we have the EU servers that are GDPR certified. The data is all stored on EU server, and you have a peace of mind when it comes to this. Only you have the rights and can act on the data, nobody else. Then the second pillar basically is the high accuracy. So we were ranking our face recognition models by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies in the US, and they test like hundreds of different companies on their face recognition software, and they do very interesting scenarios where they basically try to replicate pictures in the wild, try to replicate scenarios where you have border control, visa application, all those kind of common case scenarios for face recognition, and they try to also analyze biases, like from which country are those people coming, how good are different vendors performing for different racial backgrounds of the faces. And in this evaluation, our face recognition model ranked in the top 10 worldwide, which is, we are really proud on this. So there was a milestone for us, and could really prove that we were able to achieve like world-class face recognition capabilities. And
So,
yeah, sure.
no, go ahead. After you finish, I'll have a comment.
Okay. Comment quick. The third pillar is the cost efficiency. So basically, it's like a plan for the API. You don't have to register and rent a big GPU server for a long time and pay the costs. You basically pay on a monthly basis.
Yeah. Even for the subscription plan, it's really cheap. I mean, if you have the volume as per offered plan, such as 30 APIs per minute, or 60 per minute, or 90 per minute, the total amount of API you get per month, you compare the price that it's offering Azure or AWS, is where we're really compatible. Plus, we also do offer free tier and trial period that everything doesn't cost any penny. So yeah, go try it out. We encourage people to test it out, whether to see the fit of the technology with your application. Yeah.
That's great. So one of the questions that I've been asked before is, how does this compare to OpenCV's open source face recognition? And the thing is that we are not, the open source version is not competitive at all. And the reason is that to develop a face recognition system and maintain it, that's, that's a lot of investment, right? OpenCV doesn't have because it's not one algorithm, right? The things where there is no learning involved, OpenCV can, we can do a one-time investment. We can have the best people working on it, have a algorithm developed in one shot. But this is not that kind of situation, right? For face recognition, you have to constantly update, and various things come up, right? For example, masks came up in COVID, and those things have to be handled, etc. So not even comparable, right? Not even close. It's if you want to have things which are non-critical, right? Then OpenCV, open source face recognition, is a reasonable option. But if there is any commercial thing that you're building, if you're building a commercial entity thing, then this is a no-brainer. OpenCV face recognition, the commercial version. We also have to be, you also have to be very careful with building your own face recognition, because there are so many laws that you have to worry about. That, okay, in Europe, these are the various things I have to worry about privacy, about compliance, etc. So it is a dangerous thing, right? If you're a startup, you feel that, okay, we'll just use open source, and in our face recognition thing, we will use open source technology, which is feasible. But then you spend so much time and energy making sure that you are compliant with various laws. And to make it cost effective, you'll have to maintain your own servers, etc., which makes it extremely difficult. So, open source solutions are out there, but I would recommend this commercial solution. If you're building something, a commercial product, then definitely go for this commercial solution by OpenCV face recognition commercial version, because the quality is much higher and all the compliance issues goes up. Cost is also going to be super low.
Definitely. I think people mistakenly, especially engineers, have sometimes this idea of, I could build this in a weekend or something, right? And it's like, well, it's if all you're trying to do is recognize a face, then yeah, probably, but that's not what this does. There's so many little things and details, and from everything from compliance with privacy regulations to being able to easily add new faces, being able to remove things, like this is so much more complicated than just doing a facial recognition algorithm. So
also,
you
liveness,
raise great points. Yes.
Also, the open source version will not have liveness, right? So that's a crucial one. Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so now we want to go more into like an open discussion about things that we actually thought while doing developing the app, and general things that we sometimes discuss in the team. And actually, one thing that we are in this AI revolution, but the AI revolution is still kind of part of the big smartphone revolution that happened like 15, 20 years ago. And now smartphones are kind of the doorstep into this whole AI world, because especially when it comes to computer vision-based AI, it's the smartphone where you take a video, it's the smartphone where you take a photo and try to capture this real world and make it accessible to AI to process and stuff like this. So we really see that the AI and smartphone is a thing that comes more and more together, and more there is work on making AI able to run on smartphones fast enough, on even on like lower end smartphones and stuff like this. And we're focusing on this area to have like this edge computing capabilities. And I mean, when you compare to the first generation smartphones, or even to the cell phones before smartphones, the cameras were like, you would not be really capable to do high sophisticated face recognition stuff and other AI stuff that is nowadays capable, because now those cameras like 4K, at least HD, high resolution cameras with focus capabilities, with a lot of enhancement algorithms that's running there. So those capabilities are really different now. And I mean, when you look at the last iPhone or any kind of smartphone generation, it almost looks like that we're going into this direction that like the only difference that you see is adding more and more cameras, but they are useful, but it also
Coming
bears
soon from Samsung.
coming soon was that, yeah, it's a sneak peek into the Samsung laboratories. But at the same time, it's also quite a challenge as a developer if you roll out a product that's been used over so many different smartphones, from lower end to higher end, iPhone, Android, or whatever. The problem is that you have to be able to run your AR algorithm on all those different cameras. Then often you need, especially if you do some scanning things where you analyze basically the camera feed that comes in, you need to be able to react whatever's happening. You may want to change the focus, but then you have like different kind of lenses. So there's a lot of challenges involved, and I think it's at least I experienced that those things are way more complicated than you can think. If you get it like running on like 10 devices that you are used to develop on, it may not run on a device that somebody in East Europe is currently using your software with, because they have like a newest model that you don't even have access to, and they use a special camera where you can't change the focus, and then every images are maybe a little bit too blurry and stuff like this. So it's actually much more challenging than you would expect at first sign, especially because there are like now so many options out there on the market. So it's much just like an insight we wanted to share today in this session. And also important when it comes to kind of optimizing AI models for using on the smartphone, for running on the smartphone, are really concerned that it's a deal breaker often to run something on a smartphone is just the model size itself. I mean, a smartphone is still not that capable, especially when it comes to memory. And we also always want to be energy efficient, and not as capable as a computer, and all, especially when you have like those graphic cards that are used for model inference. So
So this
here,
is something that I really care about, and this is like has been like the genesis of the company. So when we started back in the day, I can say 4 years back, you see how the models were evolving back then. The language models had really not come into the market. We were talking about vision models, and those vision models were growing at a speed of about 2x per year. And then boom, you had BERT, and then you had GPT, and then now we are moving at a parameter explosion rate of about 40 times a year. And how can even Moore's law keep up with this? And how much electricity will AI consume? So today, AI already consumes 22.5 to 3.7% of like greenhouse gases are emitted by AI. That's more than the entire aviation industry.
No
So
way.
that's
This is news to me. Okay, wow.
yeah. Yeah, so that's why I think what Florian is going to talk about next is going to be right, hitting exactly the sweet spot. Florian, you're on mute.
sorry. So there are different strategies to tackle this explosion of model size. One common one is called distillation. So basically the concept is here that you have two models. One is called the teacher model, which is a big model that you train on your entire data set. It performs well on your data set, but it may be too big. And you just train it, and now you want to have a smaller model that is equally as good, but more efficiently to run. It doesn't need as much memory when you store it on the disk, when you put it into the RAM of your system. So what you then do with model distillation is usually train the student by mimicking some of the layers and outputs of the teacher model. So you run again through the data set, but instead of having some loss that is based on labels that you have in the data, you can now utilize more data that's not labeled, and you don't use your labels, you just use the output of the teacher model and force the student to learn exactly the same output. And even what often helps, you can also force the student not only to learn the output, but also to learn some intermediate representations of the teacher. And then the teacher is often like kind of a model that's too big, that has a too high capacity, such that it's capable of easily learning this task, but it's like unnecessary. It's like having like a sport car, but you're only driving in a city. And then the student model can really be chosen to be exactly the size that you need for a specific task. And you can carefully choose the size to be just perfectly tuned for the task that you need. So this distillation is one part to really shrink down the model size, and with shrinking down the model size, you shrink down also the footprint, energy consumption, cost. It basically everything that you want in the long run. And usually you don't have almost no performance loss on this end. And then another part to tackle the model size is actually quantization. So basically, when you think about this, the model just consists of weights, and those weights are floating points. And those floating points are usually represented by 32-bit floating points. And they more or less look something like this. You have 1 bit for sign, you have exponent, you have significant bits. And if you want to reduce your model size, why not just using a different representation of a floating point that uses less bits? So if you switch from 32 to 16-bit, you only need half the size to save your model range, which is first of all great. You basically half down all the storage costs that you have. You half down. You can even run the model faster because all the operations don't need such big numbers in the operations inside the CPU or GPU. But the problem is if you just cut it away, like basically the bigger the floating point bits is, the more precision you have. You can describe a 1.2333. Basically, you can describe P to a lot of that decimal points, right? In the example of P, if you use float point 16, you can only describe half of those kind of position in the decimal point. And this can lead up that there are like numerical instability, imprecision in your model, such that you don't have the same accuracy. So, and then there comes a lot of tricks into the play. So quantization is just like a big word, and there are a lot of different techniques to have, like quantization aware training, post-training quantization, and all those techniques more or less try to come up with a strategy. How can I downsize from my 32 floating point to my 16 bit floating point without losing too much precision? So for instance, one strategy is if I look at like what are the weights, what is the distribution of my weights that are usually used? If they like only between let's say 80 and 100, there's no need to store anything for between 0 and 80, right? So you can basically tell, oh, I want only 80 and 100 to be compressed and use the float 16. So there are a lot of techniques coming up, and new papers are arriving like almost every week on this topic, and they're really, really helpful to get models down to a size that you can run it on more constrained hardware. Is it a mobile device or even other edge devices like Raspberries and stuff like this? Do you have any questions today? It's a little bit technical. I'm sorry for this, but I hope you could catch the main idea of the idea to just reducing the storage space of the weights of the model. And then we can actually do things once you utilize all those strategies for optimizing models, you can really go wild. So one of our partners is Blaze. They basically develop their own hardware. It's a little chips a little bit like the video cards before it was graphic cards, those small cards that you put into a PCI port in the PC, and they are highly optimized for deep learning tasks and video processing and energy efficiency. So we actually work together with them, and we provide our face recognition and face detection model for them. And we, together with them, we optimized it on their chip. So optimizing on the chip involves quantization, it involves fine-tuning the model for their hardware, and it also involves those chips like highly can increase the performance by combining some operations that are done inside the chip. They can look at how does the model look like. Okay, before I execute this, I rather execute this, and then we do this and this. Then it's faster. So they basically look at the model, look at the chip, and then can tell you how to execute things such that you utilize the chip as good as possible. So for those place-based hardware, we can achieve 60 FPS for face detection on 720p and 25 FPS for face recognition. And those chips are basically designed that they are very low in energy consumption. So you can easily add a lot of them into a server rack. So basically what they're stating is that you can achieve approximately 60 times higher energy efficiency compared to a normal setup with like consumer like desktop PC, which is amazing when it comes to energy footprint and also in the end cost for operating machine learning tasks. And I think that's really a direction that we see more and more coming up, actually having hardware that's optimized for specific kind of models, for specific tasks, and then they can give you completely different number of performances when you also consider energy consumption, when you also consider hardware costs and stuff like this. Yeah, and then another interesting thing that also is part of this optimization in the hardware space is actually Intel's evolution of AI operation. So they started out way back in 2011, where they basically introduced the advanced vector operations.
Vector.
So,
Advanced
yes, there were advanced vector extensions. So basically what they did there is instead of having the, so they basically extended the vector registers inside the CPU to 256 bits, which allowed you to have easier computation for floating points based computations. So you can have bigger floating points computed. You can do more floating points computations in one clock cycle. And then in 2013, they basically extended this with AVX2, where they expanded this to integers, and they added some fusion multiplier where they basically combined some operations, which also speed up especially those compute-heavy floating point operations, which you use in scientific computing. And later, this was also beneficial for machine learning. But I mean, back then they were not aiming for machine learning because it was, but back then machine learning was classical machine learning and not deep learning, I would say. And then in 2016, they basically doubled the size to 512-bit vectors and masked operations. So this is kind of this, what you nowadays see in like NumPy and all those vector-based computation frameworks where you can like mask parts of a bigger vector and then do operation with this. So this was a generation that really sped up those kind of computations. And then more improvements. 2007, they did some optimizations that were especially suited for convolutional neural networks. So here we can definitely see there was always already a strong aim towards deep learning models. And then 2019, they added the bfloat 16 support. So this is basically similar as what I have shown you before with the half precision, so the float 16-bit. There's also bfloat 16-bit, which works similarly, but is especially useful for deep learning.
So
And then,
interestingly, bfloat 16 works like out of the box. You don't need to do anything. If your CPU supports it, then it will automatically use bfloat 16 as long as you're using the right libraries. And unlike, I mean, it's much more efficient. FP16 typically only works on like GPUs, um, integrated GPUs, discrete GPUs. CPUs tend to still do FP32. So that's why Intel introduced this BF16 instruction set, which actually does that kind of precision on CPUs.
Nice.
exactly. And then like a big difference also made the just recent introduction of this advanced metrics operation. So the metrics registers, they basically allow you not to only have kind of vector data structures inside the CPU, they have like whole matrix data structures that allow for matrix multiplication, which is the main thing that's happening for deep learning inference and deep learning training. So with those, with this introduction, we really could see a big speed up when it comes to model inference on Intel CPUs. So it really kind of did this whole landscape where we have NVIDIA's like very strong competitor when it comes to deep learning. Everything is training is happening on NVIDIA hardware, but it's especially when it comes to inference, I think Intel is really more and more a valuable option to go for especially when you have a server where you have all kinds of various load for your application. And then you also want to do model inference. And with this newer generations of Intel hardware, they really try to aim and really are quite good at incorporating those modern deep learning models and basically the computational need that they bring with them.
So there's
So it's
actually a
quite
blog post by Hugging Face on this. So if you just Google Hugging Face Intel AMX, you should find all the benchmarks there.
sexy.
Okay,
We have
Ashish is
quite a
saying we
lot of
should get to the
questions.
questions.
Yeah.
Get to the
We have a
questions.
question. Ricardo posed a question of quite some minutes ago. So he has a DB from millions of faces image, PNG. What will be the speed for 1:n for on-premises deployment?
So it really depends on what your deployment scale is and how you want to scale, whether you want to vertically scale, whether you want to horizontally scale. So search technology is a very mature technology, and there are like many different libraries from like Spotify, there's Annoy, from Facebook, there's FAISS. One of the oldest libraries that does approximate nearest neighbor search is NMSlib. So you can actually use any of these libraries to do a high dimensional nearest neighbor search. And a face is essentially a high dimensional feature vector that you're searching. So one technique is that you shard the entire space into multiple different nodes. So you can add any number of nodes, and every node that you add is going to divide, right, the search space. So let's say you had a search space of 1 million, you had 5 nodes, it would divide it by 5, you had 10 nodes, it would divide it by 10. And that's the amount of parallelism that you can achieve. And it's we have done it our own way, and we have achieved a certain level of efficiency and accuracy. But these are common approaches that you will find in the open source community. So yes, the answer varies from like less than 200 milliseconds to up to a second, to depending on how you want to scale it.
Solid answer, I feel. We've got a whole bunch of questions here from folks. I think now may be a good time to. How many more slides we got left here?
Let me think. 2. Yeah, and then the quiz.
All right. Yeah, let's keep rolling, and we can do our quiz, and then we can get to a couple more of these questions before we call it a day. How's that sound?
Sounds
Yes.
good. Unfortunately, I have a hard stop right now. I would like you guys to continue, but sorry, really sorry. I have a hard stop right now.
All good.
But this is a great product, and I'm looking forward to how the adoption is and how developers are able to, make the most use out of it. Thanks, guys. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Satya.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Satya.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay,
Now that
so
Satya's gone, I'm the captain now. No, go ahead.
So just a quick, actually, this is kind of a teaser we want to give you, because we are always also developing new stuff in our company, and we really realized that there's this paradigm shift between classical object detection and foundation models that are Gen AI based. So like classical object detection means you have this all like YOLO-based models where you have certain classes that are trained, like the typical ImageNet classes, like this is a car, this is a bicycle, this is a person, this is a traffic light. And a lot of classes, don't take me wrong, and it's a useful thing, and they are already used a lot in the real world, so this classical object detection. But one of the main problems of this is if you want to introduce a new class, you also need this class in a training data set. You need to have enough examples to show the system in order to train on those, to actively recognize this kind of objects in the class. So this is this classical object detection landscape. And now when we have this new Gen AI based models like ChatGPT, but there are also models that are combine vision and text. And with those models, you can do things like actually just defining what your object is. So like here, you just say cat, and it will find the cats in the picture with object detection. But you can also type down things like, oh, just find me a black cat, just find me those kind of objects. So you're way more flexible in what you define, and you don't need to retrain the model based on the use cases that you have. Yeah, I make this a quick one, but I just want to mention that like we are currently developing something with those kind of models together with OpenCV, and I think I can say this right now that we soon also will show this here on this show together with Phil, right? Where we will launch one new product that's based on those foundation models for in the visual space that use Gen AI and language models.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay, so now the exciting part, the base. Could we verify that those
Yes.
credentials work fine?
The
Okay.
login's working great. So just to remind folks here, go if you want to participate in this quiz. We go scan those QR codes, download the app on the App Store for Android or iPhone, and you will be able to log in using these credentials. We'll give you a minute or so to log in, and then we're going to show you some faces, which the first person to be able to use the app to tell us what those faces are will win some free API credits with OpenCV Face Recognition. Is that about the gist of it? Did I miss anything? I think I got it all in there.
Perfect.
All right, excellent. It's almost like I've done this before.
High professional. High professional.
I do my best. So yes, I think let's, and we'll also do a giveaway of OpenCV Course after this giveaway as well. So stay tuned for that, folks. You've got good chances. People are dropping off since it's past 10 o'clock here. So let's go.
Okay, so I will switch to the first phase, right? In 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right.
Who's
Use your
this?
app, point your app at the
Who is this?
screen and tell us who this person is. The first person to do that in the Zoom chat will win free API credits from OpenCV Face Recognition. And we got one right here. It's like
Oh.
Stian.
And ooh,
We get, it
and
looks like
then
the
people are
very
getting
the
We
very
got a lot.
first one. I think the very first one that was correct was Stian Hegna. Am I right there? The answer we were looking for there was Woodrow Wilson Bledsoe. Yes,
and who is Woodrow Bledsoe?
that's a
It's his
great question.
profile. You just click the profile button and you'll see who it is.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Yes, yes.
So maybe you
Exciting.
can explain a little bit, Varun. I think it's best if you.
Yeah, give the people the Iggy on who Woody Bledsoe is.
All right, that we got somebody who answered it.
That's right, American computer
It's in the app.
scientist Woody
It's in the
Bledsoe.
app. He's the one who was one of the first people who actually started with this problem of face recognition and trying to train computers or, well, program computers back in those days to recognize 100 people. And that was a task that, it took like human beings 6 hours to do that task. And he actually accomplished that. And this was way back in the 1960s.
Very
Also a
impressive.
great, I mean, very 60s name, Woody Bledsoe. He looks like he could be a crooner, you know? It was like one of the
But-
early members of the Beach Boys that they kicked out or something.
But I remember right, but back then there was still some like pre-processing based on humans, right? So humans had to look at the face and tell where the eyes are and stuff like this, and then this data was used to process. Kind of very interesting.
It was very geometrical and like very
Pure statistic.
different from deep
Yeah.
learning.
All right. So congrats. I
right.
think the first one to post that correctly was Stian. So Stian, go ahead and send one email to phil@opencv.org. We'll make sure you get your credits. And I think we've got one more, yeah?
Yes, we have one more.
All right. Start your scanning, everyone. So tell us who this person is and what they're known for. Both pieces of information are important here.
Oh, we already have.
You got one half of the answer. We need two parts. You need to tell us who they are and what they're known for. What are they known for? All right. So Margaret Hamilton is the answer we were looking for there, and famous for being a NASA computer scientist, one of the early female computer scientists. There's the famous photograph of her standing next to the printed out, like the instructions for the computer code, and it's taller than she is. So that's what we know Margaret Hamilton from.
And her mission was accomplished on computers which had less compute than you have carry in your phones these days.
Yes, like a significant, like orders of magnitude less. We're talking like Atari is faster than some of these computers. So I think the first person to say this, to give us the correct answer, I'm looking here. I think the answer, the person that said computer scientist and NASA was Bukasa. Bukasa, I cannot pronounce your last name. I'm not even going to try. I'll butcher it. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org, and we'll make sure that you get your credits. So, hey, it looks like the app worked pretty well for this. We got a lot of answers. We might have to do some more of these later, like on the show. We got a lot more answers than we do for some of these questions we've asked. So congrats to our winners. I think now would also be a good time to do the OpenCV course giveaway as well. Go ahead and unshare your screen, Florian, if you don't mind. Thank you. So congratulations to our two trivia winners already today, but we've got one more question, and we are going to give away a free OpenCV course to someone in the audience. We'll only accept answers from folks in the Zoom chat. I have a feeling that folks are going to get this one lickety-split, so get ready to answer right now. So 7th Sense face recognition technology is very impressive. So impressive, in fact, it's actually recognized by one of the foremost standards agencies for measuring facial recognition. It was a top 10 project based on accuracy for what standards agency in the US? All right, we already got it. Daniel Cowan. Daniel Cowan was just bam right there. The answer is the NIST. Top 10 NIST accuracy project. Congratulations, Daniel. Daniel, please send one email to phil@opencv.org. That's me. And I will make sure that you get the course you want. Also, take a look at the courses available at opencv.org/university. Pick out the one you want, include that in the email to me. We'll make it a one email transaction. I'll send it off to the amazing courses support team, and you will get your course as soon as they see it. Congrats again to all three of our trivia winners. We've got a ton of questions here. I think from a technical standpoint, it may count as a shit ton. We may not be able to get all of them here today, but I think we should answer. A couple of folks have been waiting a little bit on a few of these, so I'm going to take a look. I see. So this is a very important question. I think a couple folks have asked about how 7sense will use the data that is uploaded to the system. Is 7sense going to use any of the data sent to train models? Is there any way for people to opt out or opt in of using their data for that kind of work?
So this is like right from the inception of OpenCV FR as a product, we really focused on privacy, and that's why like we are externally GDPR certified, and we make it a point absolutely not to touch your data in any way or learn from it. From time to time, we have large customers who say, "Hey, can you use our data? We want to opt in. Can you use our data to make the service better for us?" So in those cases, we do sometimes accept their data, and we use it to refine our models. But that is absolutely not the standard practice. It's an exception.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. And I think one of the things that makes OpenCV Face Recognition a very strong choice is that, as you said, from the very beginning, it's been built with privacy in mind, unlike the vast majority of solutions out there. Like most of the companies doing this kind of work are now scrambling to try to add privacy into their system, but this was there from the beginning. And so one of the many good points in favor of OpenCV FR. We've got several more here. This is almost more of a philosophical question from Tiana here. How do you decide that your speed and results are good enough for, say, a custom implementation? If you've got on-premises installation, for example, how do you decide when you've got enough hardware, like when it's fast enough, when it's accurate enough? Because obviously you can always throw more hardware at the problem, but there are always going to be limitations in terms of what you can do cost effectively for everyone's individual use case. So how can you give some advice for how people can figure out, like, okay, this is good enough for me?
So I think the key thing to start with is an analysis of what kind of load you're going to get, right? So as an example, we were working recently with a national ID of a country, and they have published articles. They are newspaper articles on like how many requests are made per day. And if you just take that number, let's say it's 80 million as an example in this case. You take that number and 80 million requests per day, you say, okay, in this one day, these requests are probably going to be made during 8 hours. Then you divide that by 60, you divide that by 60 again, and then you get your requests per second. So in this case of a very, very large country, the number of requests, face authentication requests per second was only 12. So that just kind of gives you a picture of what a very large scale deployment actually means in numbers. But you can do this kind of analysis on your own, and you will be able to get to the numbers yourself. And accordingly, you can choose to deploy on CPUs, Intel CPUs, as Florian mentioned earlier, offer many benefits. You can choose to deploy on NVIDIA GPUs. You can choose to deploy on several of those. You can choose to vertically scale them, go from like a V100 GPU to a A100 GPU to an H100 GPU, or horizontally scale them, add those GPUs or add those CPUs behind a load balancer. So it really depends on you first analyze the problem and understand the scale that at which you're operating, and thereafter you can simply divvy the problem up and deploy the resources.
Great advice there. Great advice. Thanks so much for that. Got another one here from Venkatesh, who would like to know some of the capabilities of the app here. So, for example, as Satya mentioned earlier, one of the first demo he saw was using his ID card, and it was an older photo of him. He's aged a little bit. He probably wasn't wearing his hat, which he always is in non-government photos. But it was still able to accurately say, this is Satya Mallick. What kind of limitations are there in terms of recognizing, say, like how young of a photo? Like if I uploaded a photo of me from when I was 12 years old, would it be able to recognize modern day Phil as the same person?
So that really depends on how strict you want to be in the recognition. So there is like a similarity score that our algorithm returns, and you can actually choose to set that similarity score. So for example, when Satya first tried this algorithm out, he used a picture from when he was 18, and he used like the minimum similarity score that we recommend, which is 0.6.
Man, that was like a million years ago. I can say that because he's not here.
Yeah. So so you can choose how strict you want to be. Having said that, like at 66, I have been able to like recognize myself from like when I was 7 years old or something. But it will
Wow.
depend, of course, on how your face changed over the years, I guess.
Sure. Well,
but
yeah,
it's very
people may have had procedures done or been in some kind of accident that changed their face as well. There's lots of extenuating circumstances that would obviously affect any kind of comparison of video or photos of the same person, of course.
And that's like taking me back to like one of the first blog posts we had when OpenCV was launched, when there was this high school student, and you can find his video on our website. If you go log into the account, you click on the right and you see there are some videos there. And he had actually compared this technology, and he had picked some use cases where you had Tom Cruise, who was with prosthetics, and he had a lot of makeup. What was that movie called, Phil? I forget.
I think you're talking. Was it Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
So the algorithm was able to recognize Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder with all the prosthetics and makeup and wigs and all of that.
It's great. Yeah, I've seen a few sort of party tricks like that. Right? It's fun to see that stuff. Yeah, we're about coming up on half an hour over our time. I think we're gonna call it here. Anybody out there who had a pressing question or concern that we did not get to during the allotted time for the show here, please send us those questions on social media or via email. You can send us email newsletter@opencv.org, and we'll do our best to answer questions that way. You can also ask us on Twitter @OpenCV Live, on Mastodon.social @OpenCV, on Blue Sky @OpenCV as well, and on YouTube @OpenCV Live. If folks want to follow 7 Cents, you individually, Yi, Varun, Florian, if they want to follow y'all, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
I think we're most active on LinkedIn. So you could probably follow the company there or add us there.
Yes, I think LinkedIn is definitely the best choice.
All right, excellent. Fuyi, that true for you as well?
Yeah, LinkedIn usually is
Okay.
our best communication tool. I'm trying
All
to
right.
I'm using phone. I'm trying to copy paste linking our URL here.
All right, excellent. And we'll send that. So also you can find every single episode of OpenCV Live, the recording of these episodes after we go live. They'll be available on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@OpenCV Live. You can just search for OpenCV Live or even just OpenCV, and you'll probably find us there. You can always find the recordings of these shows there. We put them up for you for the folks that just can't quite make it, or maybe they had to drop off early, et cetera, et cetera. Before we bounce here today, I've got a couple notes here. One, our guest next week will be the returning Jose Benitez from Intuitivo, who you may remember from a webinar last year where we talked about his story of launching a company from basically nothing and using OpenCV as a huge part of building it. They're creating purchase in place retail solutions that are really impressive, and they're just blowing up in South America and in various other Latin America and so forth. Really excited to have Jose back and see what they've been up to over the last year. Do not forget to register for Embedded Vision Summit if you're in the Bay Area or you want to make a last-minute trip out here. It's May 21st, 22nd, 23rd in Santa Clara, California, right across the street from the 49ers stadium there, Levi's Stadium, at the Santa Clara Convention Center, which I've gotten to know way too well over the last several years. Many places. I've spent many hours at the hotel bar. So if you go to the show and you can't find me at the booth, that's probably where I am. We've got a coupon code for you. I'll make sure to post that in the show notes here as well for Embedded Vision Summit. That is about it for us this week. Thank you so much for joining us every single week. Thank you so much to our esteemed guests. This was a really great show with a lot of interaction with the audience here. It's always a good sign when the audience has a lot of questions. It means they're paying attention. So thanks again, folks, for joining us this Thursday. We will see you next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank
Thanks so much,
you.
everybody.